Alright, what's up, y'all? We're back again, and of course, we're going to be on some sports stuff, and specifically football, as man, it's actually been a bit of an interesting day, especially with the trade deadline tomorrow. And of course, this one's a little close to home for me here on at least two different levels. Baron Browning has been traded to the Arizona Cardinals for a sixth-round pick. Now, I guess I don't mind this too much. He has been a bit injury prone, and of course, he actually has been getting outshined by Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito, so I can't really say this is terribly surprising, but at the same time, it's just really interesting to see. And a lot of people were thinking that the Broncos weren't necessarily going to be sellers. I think that's a little bit misguided, to say the least. I feel as if, because now the Broncos have 7 picks to work with, including 3 sixth-rounders, which I don't think they're going to stick with all of those, but we'll see what happens with all that. The fact of the matter is they definitely need picks wherever they can get them, and more particularly because it will help them with other moves that they might be able to make along the way. I mean, again, the deadline is tomorrow, but I want to look at this more from the Cardinals' perspective, because they've actually been competitive defensively in recent years, but not so much this year, and it's actually shown. Yet at the same time, they've played well enough to keep them in games, and not only that, they actually managed to do a good job against the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams. I mean, and it's not to say that the Bears have been anything special, but they've actually done pretty well for the most part. I mean, a lot better than what I think a lot of people would have expected. But for me, the Cardinals being in the bottom 10 in all 3 defensive categories, I think this is going to help them a lot, especially in terms of pass rush. They're certainly going to need that, whatever bit they can get. And I'm actually looking forward to what that can do for them. So, best wishes to Baron Browning, and there's going to be more on this. Yes, there's actually going to be a Broncos talk, so look forward to that, Broncos country. Now, with that in mind, we're going to move right along. We actually have a bit of unfortunate news in the form of the firing of Dennis Allen from the New Orleans Saints, and this one to me is really, really wild. Of course, Darren Rizzi is going to be taking over as the interim head coach, but I don't really care about that so much. I think for me what's really, really wild about this is that this actually happened back with the Raiders. And who was the quarterback then? Derek Carr. I really can't understand how this didn't work out, especially given the fact they started off 2-0. They actually were looking like they were going to set some offensive records, and then that just wasn't the case anymore. I don't know what it was that changed so much, but didn't help that Derek Carr was out for a little bit, and of course things didn't get any better from there. But I'm not really sure how much of this is necessarily Dennis Allen's fault, but he hasn't necessarily done amazing things since the departure of Sean Payton, ultimately to become the Broncos head coach. But I don't know, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from here on this. I'm pretty sure he'll turn up somewhere sooner than later, because he's actually a really, really solid coach. I think that he's definitely a hell of a defensive coordinator. I don't know, I think he's catching a bit of a bad break on this, but that's just me. I mean, we'll see what happens from there. But on to some happier news, at least for 49ers fans, which will come in the form of Christian McCaffrey coming back soon. Of course, he's got a 21-day window to show that he'll actually be able to get healthy, and I don't know why that would be necessary, but I would imagine that if he's actually able to get back within the next few weeks, and the 49ers can keep in the swing of things in the division with said Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks, this later stretch could actually get pretty interesting, especially in the NFC West. And with Detroit strongly leading the way in the NFC, I gotta say that I feel like the 49ers could, when healthy, be very much a contender, but I just don't know necessarily that they're necessarily what the Detroit Lions are, even with McCaffrey back. But I gotta say there's definitely significant resilience on the part of said 49ers team, because they've actually done well without him. Of course, Jordan Mason, who's actually out now due to injury, but I'm sure he'll be back at some point. I don't know the details on that, but they've been finding ways to keep competitive, and I think that's about all you could ask for, especially at this point of the season. And it just takes a matter of the team getting hot at the right time. Who knows? Could be the 49ers for all we know. But with that in mind, on to a team that isn't going to be looking so hot, especially with recent news of the Dak Prescott injury. I don't know, it's just really, really funny to me, because I think back to when they got a win late, when I think it was a Sunday night game actually out in Pittsburgh, and I was saying then, there's just no way that it's going to get all that much better for them, and it really hasn't. They're 3-5 now, and of course, you've got CeeDee Lamb, who's a bit more banged up, along with this hamstring injury with Dak Prescott. Now Prescott's actually expected to miss a handful of weeks, which, I don't know. I mean, Cooper Rush will hold it down well enough for them, but with all the pieces that they have been missing, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence will be coming back. You had Trayvon Diggs come back. I'm not really sure how effective he was. Doesn't seem like it showed all that much, because Falcons were pretty good offensively, but, you know, he's only one guy, you know, so I imagine him coming back will be helpful. Micah Parsons, as long as he's still good, I think they'll be alright there, but doesn't seem like it's going to get all that much better for them, especially with a division where you've got Jaden Daniels, who has got the Commanders literally just about commanding the NFC East, along with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be a really interesting matchup down the road, but, I mean, I don't know. You got to wonder what's going to happen with Dak at this point. I mean, is this going to wind up being it for him? I feel like if the Cowboys are in position enough, they're going to get a hold of a quarterback that, you know, at the very least is going to put some pressure on Dak. And, I mean, it's just hard for me to imagine them going another direction. I mean, it's either that or maybe pick up Ashton Genty, which, depending on where they're at, I don't know. It's kind of tricky to see how that would work, but I don't know. Either way, it's just not looking so good for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure Stephen A. Smith has gotten his jokes off about it and everything, and yeah, it just is what it is, but I'm going to leave that at that. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think. Is this it for the Cowboys? Do you see any hope for them? I mean, I don't know. It's just gotten kind of wild to see where things are at, but y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll be getting back at y'all again, because you know there will be more.